Hello, Dinara.
Hi, James.
So, welcome back, everybody. And today we're looking for the Toefl.
Yes,
Toefl,
it's called.
Toefl practice papers today, and we're going to look at some reading, a reading exercise today.
So, guys, mainly this test you'll need to study in the US.
But I'm sure that that you'll need some sort of similar test to study in other English-speaking countries too, like the UK or Australia, etc. So can be done.
I just noticed that our students who apply for American universities, they mainly prepare for Toefl, and Toefl is abbreviation test of English as a foreign language. This test is accepted by more than 11,000 universities, apparently.
Yes, I can imagine. Okay. Yeah, exactly. So this will be very useful if you want to study abroad. So let's get started. So we're looking at the practice paper 1. And what we'll do is I shall read out the text, and then we're going to look at the multiple choice answers. So yeah, I think the main advice just before starting, I think the main advice is basically have a look at the questions, have a look at the text. So there's two questions for the first. There's 2 basic multiple choice questions for the first question. And then for the second question, second text, there's 4. Okay. So have a look at the questions and the answers. Because then you'll know what information to look out for. Let's get started then. Technology is rapidly expanding the scope of capabilities for both professional and personal use. Such is the case with smartphones. Professionals now have devices available to them capable of digital media, internet access, phone communication, multi-person scheduling, and office tools for documents and presentations. Business people that are often mobile may maximize the use of these critical features on smartphones. Individuals who simply enjoy the luxury of multifunction devices often use these devices for frivolous pursuits, such as downloading catchy ringtones, instant messaging about the latest gossip, and looking up the world record for most cans crushed on one's head during the Super Bowl. Okay, this fusion of capabilities and increased availability of such devices could be a sign of a growing blend in society between work and personal life. Or individuals could simply be taking a luxurious approach to their connectivity in personal lives.
Okay, great. I have some words I don't understand. Scope. What does scope mean in this case? Scope of capabilities.
Yeah. So scope is like a range, basically, or so it's like a range, basically. So what it can do, what can be done for professional and personal use.
I see. And another phrase: frivolous pursuits.
Well, frivolous is part of the first question. Basically, frivolous means something that, is superficial, not very important, for fun, that sort of thing, not very deep, exactly. So if somebody's being frivolous, then, they're not giving pay, they're not being serious enough, exactly.
And the last one, fusion of capabilities.
Fusion of capabilities. Let's have a look. So this combination of different things that the smartphones can do.
I see.
Because fusion means things coming together.
Are you dependent on your smartphone?
Much more than I would like to be. Yes. But I am very conscious of the fact that it is negative. So mostly what I do for smartphones is, yes, I do use it for some instant messaging, occasionally checking out social media, but I very rarely use them for social media, not very often, apart from instant messaging. And then I check up things like the news and some other stuff. So the thing is, I think the smartphone, it is a form of technology it's kind of both heaven and hell. You can use it to check out your bank statement. You can use it to check it out. You can use it to find out about what's happening in the world. You can use it to book an Uber that can take you somewhere for cheap, like that. You can use it to order food because you don't feel like cooking that night. You can use it to organize your life. You can use it for your emails, for so many positive things. But at the same time, it is designed to be addictive. It's not designed in a humane way, as in people have deliberately sat down and decided what color things should be, so how the layout of the screen should look. So personally, what I try to do particularly is often when I have a day off, I switch my phone off unless I need it. So you do need to have breaks from it, basically. And I try to occasionally check out how much screen time I've used. And at all costs, I try to avoid using social media. So I very rarely ever check Instagram, and I don't follow anybody on Instagram. I don't connect with any friends. I don't have any photos. I literally just use it just in case I need to contact someone. Just in case I need to find out some information about something, because it's all designed to take up your time. And, that's the negative thing about smartphones, I think. They're addictive. They're not really just a tool, because a tool is something that you just use when you need it. I think smartphones are designed to be addictive. And if you spend too much time looking at them, then it's bad. So generally I've got it under control, but one thing that I am bad at is checking my smartphone as soon as I wake up. So that's or quite shortly after waking up.
I see.
What about you?
I use it only for studying. I use useful applications. So for example, I'm studying French now to listen to lectures, to do maths, to play chess, to make videos with you.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's really, really useful for all those things. And so I would say that the main sort of frivolous thing that I use it for is to chat with friends. That's basically it. Exactly. So let's have a look at, so I would say, I think this one's a little bit tricky, actually, the first one, because personally I would say is that the average individual does not need a smartphone.
Sorry,
the average individual does not need a smartphone is what I would go for. But having said that, I can see the argument with is fascinated by the endless capabilities, but frivolous is a bit negative. So I would go with the third option, personally. Okay.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
So be careful with these guys. And do you feel that Toefl vocabulary is a bit different from IELTS?
A little bit, yes. So they were using some words that sounded a little bit weird as well. Not that they're not used. It's just it sounded a little bit clunky, a bit, so at points. But it's still slightly less formal than IELTS, I would say. IELTS feels a bit more formal, but yeah, exactly. But it was the very, very weird details, like the world record for most cans crushed on one's head.
Yeah.
Like, yes, maybe, but to be honest, let's be real. There's far more people looking for cat videos than that. So,
Yeah, apparently cat videos, they are the most popular.
Yeah. People love cat videos. Because cats are just funny. They've got funny sort of habits, because they're both prey and predator animals, and they love us, but at the same time, they are independent. So they're a mysterious animal in terms of behavior, and they're cute. So let's have a look here. What is the purpose of the conclusion sentence? Normally we would call that the concluding sentence, but so let's read it. Let's look at it again. This fusion of capabilities and increased availability of such devices could be a sign of a growing blend in society between work and personal life. Or individuals could simply be taking a luxurious approach to their connectivity in personal lives.
I think it's number 2, assume.
Yeah, I would go with exactly the same. Assume where technology is headed and how it will affect society. And I think that this is one of the biggest problems with where technology is at the moment is you're seeing a real push amongst groups now for the right to disconnect. Because one of the saddest things I keep hearing is people saying, "Oh, I went on holiday for 2 weeks, but I still answered all the work emails." It's like, no, you're on holiday. Before the internet, before smartphones, if you were on holiday, nobody could contact you. That's how it was, so no one could contact you. They didn't know where you were. They, as in you just disconnected, whereas lots of people don't now, so anyway, let's carry on. So
guys, please write down how you usually use your phone. Are you dependent on Instagram and idiotic videos, or more often you use it useful reasons?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It'd be interesting to know. So let's look at the next part.
You know what is really worries me, that parents give their phones to their children who are tiny.
I really do think that below the age of about 15 or 16, where below the age of, especially before teenagers, so I'd have to work out exactly the age, but I would rather not see a child under the age of, someone under the age of 16 using social media on the phone at all. It's not good for their mental health,
Yes.
So, if they have like a special mobile where all they can do is call, text, and maybe play the odd game, that's fine. But, social media, one of the most worrying statistics I saw was the dramatic increase in small girls from the age of about 10 to 13. The suicide rate just ballooned after, it absolutely rocketed after that, because that is a group, that is literally the group that you would expect to be least likely to commit suicide. Girls from about 9 to 12, but a large part of it is Instagram and cat ears and, the silly filters and stuff like that. And this is one thing that annoys me about Instagram particularly. It's the number of people with fake photographs or with the filters on. You just think, but you don't look like that. so why if you want to live in a fantasy world, that's fine. I remember speaking to someone who had blue hair, and I thought, oh, okay, that's very brave of you to have blue hair. Oh, that was just a filter on Instagram. I'm like, well, what's the point in showing that then? Because that's not your hair color. So, that is the scary part. I really don't think that little kids should be using social media. It's really not good for your mental health. And apart from anything else, go outside. It's better for you. So go play in the field. Still, there are some dangers in the field, but it's better than sticking on your phone. But the thing is that, when we talk about people who are using these things too often, it's everybody basically. Because, I was sitting with my dad, and he's in his mid-60s, and he was staring at his phone almost all. I was just thinking, he's in his mid-60s, so as in he remembers, as in long before the internet or even mobile phones, or fax machines, where you could only call someone through a landline and it was incredibly expensive and you had to use a dial-up, but I remember landlines, But you know, you had to, and it's such a weird. So because I think that we're sort of in the last generation that can vaguely remember what life was like in at least, if not an internet-free world, a limited internet world. You know, so you didn't really have internet, where most people didn't have the internet or mobile phones. We remember what that was like.
I grew up in very religious, strict family, and we even did not have TV at home.
Is that because TV equals devil or something like that?
No, because you could see sex and or murdering things or bad news, and it would affect you as a child. So we just read books.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
And for example, I found out that people rape each other when I was 15, and I was in shock. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, unfortunately, what people can do to other people is one of the cruelest things, you know, so out there. But yeah, we'll continue. So
yeah.
better do this quickly. So question 2, but man is not destined to vanish. Goodness me, we're starting philosophically. So he can be killed, but he cannot be destroyed. What? Oh, God's sake, religious mumbo jumbo. Sorry. So as he can be killed, but he cannot be destroyed because his soul is deathless and his spirit is irrepressible. Therefore, though the situation seems dark in the context of the confrontation between the superpowers, the silver lining is provided by an amazing phenomenon that the very nations which have spent incalculable resources and energy for the production of deadly weapons are desperately trying to find out how they might never be used. They threaten each other, intimidate each other, and go to the brink. But before the total hour arrives, they withdraw from the brink. Yeah. So what that one is... Yeah, I would go for man's soul and spirit are immortal, perhaps.
Yeah.
No comment. So, yeah, absolutely no comment. But anyway, so we'll move on from the Tooth Fairy. So the phrase "go to the brink" in the passage means retreating from extreme danger, declare war on each other, advancing to the stage of war, but not engaging in it. I would say the third one, so because if you go to the brink, then you don't quite go over the top, but you go right to the edge.
What does brink mean? You just explained.
Yeah, it's like, that's right to the edge. Yeah, before that happens. In the author's opinion, huge stockpiles of destructive weapons have so far saved mankind from a catastrophe. Superpowers have at last realized the need for abandoning the production of lethal weapons. Mankind is heading towards complete destruction. Nations in possession of huge stockpiles of lethal weapons are trying hard to avoid actual conflict. There is a silver lining over the production of deadly weapons. I think it's the fourth. So nations in possession of huge stockpiles of lethal weapons are trying hard to avoid actual conflict.
Lethal means dying, right?
Deadly.
Deadly, okay.
Yeah, so deadly, exactly. Lethal, extremely dangerous at least. Next one, irrepressible in the second line means his spirit is irrepressible. Unrestrainable, I would say. So the fourth.
Okay, great.
Well, and that's it for today then. So that was the first one. Exactly.
Guys, Toefl is different from IELTS. For example, they give more scientific, also very specific articles. I remember when I was preparing for Toefl, there were articles from biology, and what was very surprising to me, because I didn't study biology in such details at school, even in Russian, and be prepared for that, and as usual to be very confident at the exam, obviously to start preparing in advance, minimum, in my opinion, 1 year in advance. Okay, see you in next videos. Thank you, James, as usual.
Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.
See you. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.